Hi, I'm Christian Bender. Just recently bought this General 260. Came out of a high school. Wanted to clean it up, just get it apart, touch up the paint, you know, just go through, just get her in running condition again. It's a project for my boys and I. They're kind of interested in this kind of thing. Anyhow, last night, started pulling things apart. Needed to get the belt off of the belt assembly here, and pulled my covers off. There's a threaded nut that goes on here. This is the threaded nut. So we removed this threaded nut last night. Wasn't sure exactly. I do have a copy of the old manual. Hadn't seen the part in the manual. More was looking at the diagram of the explosion of how everything went together, but didn't see the part that describes how to remove the belt or add the riser block assembly. So I was just using this mallet. Had been put a plate on here and been tapping a bit, and then was tapping here and was looking here and turning, and where they've drilled this out to balance it, it's chipped. So this won't be in balance anymore. So today I'm gonna video this to show my oops, to hopefully save someone else the same thing. Removing this assembly, like I say, there is instructions in the manual, but I couldn't find anything on YouTube of somebody doing this, and that's kind of like, in this day and age, I think we all go to YouTube first. So anyhow, if this all backfires, you'll never see this, but if it goes well, then maybe it'll get posted. So there's an Allen screw retainer here that you have to take out of the pulley assembly. And then you're just supposed to put your outboard faceplate on, and then you just hit it. I don't know if this has ever been taken out, so we'll see. I'm getting some movement. Okay. I'll post a link to where I found these down below in the description, but there's manuals available online still. Okay, it is saying to use a block of wood and carefully drive the spindle pulley toward the outboard side to push the bearing. Okay, I'm getting some movement there. Not a lot, but it is moving. Funny, I watched a video of another guy taking apart this assembly on a different brand of lathe. His just popped apart. I think the rest of you are probably more like me. Hopefully he didn't break anything though. So I'm trying really hard to stay down here with this wood. Honestly, you can see where probably a lot of guys have broke this at one point. It's coming, guys. There we go. Just needed a little bar in there. Anyhow, hopefully if you've made it to here, you haven't damaged this. I can take that to the machine shop and Hopefully they don't call me stupid. Because I sure felt stupid. Okay guys, sorry, camera only records half an hour at a time, so I missed the fact that it shut off. Did get everything apart. It's a little tricky getting your keys out of here. There's 3 of them, and you have to kind of wiggle things till you can get at them, and then these were actually incredibly tight and hard to get out. But the shaft's out. Everything's good. Just a few little burrs on the keys from getting them out, but we'll clean that up. This is this hub for this pulley. And this is the damage I caused, which is incredibly unfortunate. But I'm trying to make sure nobody else ever does to one of these units since they don't make them anymore. Just gonna see about having a whole new pulley hub made, but that was you get the idea. Imagine this will be a bit of work for them to drill these 45 or 60 holes, whatever it is, for the indexing finger, which is a nice feature and I'd like to keep. Yeah, so here it is. Okay, so taking off the head of the unit. There's 4 bolts. At this point I've come this far, I may as well take this apart for painting. If you only loosen one of the alignment bolts on the head, then when you reset the head, all you have to do is tighten the alignment bolt that you loosened, and it won't disturb your factory setting. Okay, so masked everything off, removed everything I could remove. Realized there's a shaft right here. This is actually the motor hangs off of, and there's 2 Allen screws we took out, and then there's a roll pin. And I wasn't sure how to get the roll pin out, and don't want to mess with breaking anything else at this point. So we just set it up on some 3/4 inch plywood. Gonna touch up where the paint was chipped. And tomorrow we can start the sanding and painting. Okay, where I'm at, just giving it a sand, getting ready to put a coat of green on it. Pretty straightforward. I've actually sanded most of it already. So that's basically it. Just gonna take the handle off the tailstock and give that a sand for painting too. Okay, we got this thing all painted up. So to get the same size washer as what was used before, I had to go down a size washer, just grinding out the center a bit. So I think what I'm having trouble with is the gear mechanism inside is tight. There's a spring which I think allows some movement, and it's keeping the whole cast body just out of line with my hole. So I'm just going to put a clamp on it and just move it just enough to get it to where I want it. So just to update you guys, I did remove the motor the other day, so that's out of the unit. This is because we're going to switch this unit to single phase. I think there was a little paint in these threads. They were a little tough going in. Maybe should have ran a tap through them, which is hard to do with this lathe bed still on top of the cabinet. The bolts did go in and out fine. I am going to pick up some anti-seize and just back them out and put some anti-seize on just to make sure that that's good. Let's get the head ready. Handle wouldn't close vertical. I think that's better. Not perfect, but it's better. So I actually ended up putting the end of the bolt on the belt sander and just tapering it a bit to sort of help it self-align. You just want to be careful you don't cross thread anything. If it doesn't feel right, you want to back it out, but that worked pretty good. That's nice. Okay, so no way to know that was going to happen, but it stripped the bolt. So I retapped the casting hole just to clean it up. I bought a 1/4 inch bolt. The heads are bigger on the 1/4 inch bolts. Hopefully this shows okay for you, but I just filed it to fit. The bigger head won't turn, so you have to have the right size head, and they don't have that at the hardware store. So back to assembling. Okay, so my 4 bolts are in. We will try out my homemade adjustment bolt. Okay, that's snug. 0.853. I don't think I'm going to be able to get 9.2 out of this for whatever reason. So I'm going to get it as close as I can. And then I'm going to call it good so I don't wreck anything. Basically it. Maybe 0.82, maybe 0.83. So that's the difference, is what I'm out from what I thought I should be. That's 0.4. I don't know if you can see that gap through there or not, but I'm going to call it okay there. That one's snug. Suppose test will be when I get the tailstock on and my spindle back in and set a spur in it and just make sure the points line up when this comes in. So I'm just going to tighten down these bolts on the housing here for the head. This should be fine. Oops. Just to clean up where the bearings go. Clean surface for the bearing. So I'll have to wait to reassemble that to get that pulley hub remade. I have an indexing finger from a 160 that they're modifying to hopefully fit this, so I may as well clean that up. That's good. That's good. Well, I'm gonna be glad to get this back together. This did come with a guard, and I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall it. We reinstalled the spindle onto the wood lathe. When we turned it on, you can see there was really bad runout on the spur. The Morse taper wasn't centered, so we had to actually take it apart and have the spindle fixed. I also had this 160 indexing pin modified to work on this 260 wood lathe. You can very easily see how bad the runout is on the spur when the machine is running just with your naked eye. I attach a dial indicator next to see how bad the Morse taper actually is inside of the spindle shaft. It's running out about 6 thou.
It's out about 6 thou. It's going up to 5 and dropping down there to 99.
We installed the new 1-phase 2 horsepower marathon motor. It's 1800 RPM, 115 230 volt. We've wired it for the 230 volt. So 145T frame, TEFC, and it's just a farm duty motor. The magnetic starter we replaced with one from a 5 horsepower 3-phase Delta planer that I was fixing up. It was spec'd properly to handle this 2 horsepower single phase motor, so I didn't have to purchase that. We just reused the original start stop button that came with the lathe, keeping the lathe as original and factory looking as possible. The magnetic starter is just in that box right there. We were able to just make it all work. This button here is no longer useful. I'll have to either make an adapter up to make it function again, or it can just be there as a dummy button. You have to open the cover to hit the reset button. Unfortunately, there was some really bad runout on the inboard side of the lathe, so I had to take it back apart, pull the spindle out, and take the spindle shaft up to the machine shop that did the repair work on the pulley hub, and they were able to repair this spindle for me without having to make a new one. They ended up doing was taking about 5.5 thou off of this shoulder to allow them to remachine this Morris taper, as it wasn't centered on the spindle hub. They said it looked like maybe somebody had tried to do something to it once before and just really messed it up. Not 100% certain that it could have been that it was machined wrong from the get-go. One of the comments made to me when I picked this up is they were taking the lathes out of the shop because they found them really dangerous for the students. And with runout on the spindle, it probably would have been fairly dangerous. Anyhow, I'm gonna reassemble this again. And last time I didn't get great footage, so hopefully this time gives you something better to see how this all goes together. The other cool thing is I have my decals now as well, so we'll try and get those on today too. There's a key right here for this right here, so I have to get that slid in, and then I have to get the 2 keys in here for the pulley hub. Just been trying to wipe a very, very thin coat of grease on everything so that it slips together well. Second key. So all 3 keys are in. I'll have to paint this bearing cover then. They had to machine it down to match what they took off of the shoulder here. So my other bit of funny business that I want to deal with is these are supposed to align, which is what these set screws down here that I had trouble with are supposed to be in alignment with, which is supposed to be factory set. And so I had measured with calipers and tried to set it the same and had problems with, anyhow, it's not in alignment. So we're going to loosen things off and adjust these screws, and we're going to bring this into alignment with this. And if you know more about this and I'm doing something wrong, just fire that down in the comments. Happy to learn from anybody that knows more than me. There you can see they're just kissing each other. Happy with that. Oh yeah, that's really nice. So I ended up using some shim stock, 5 thou thick, to shim this up because this was a smidge lower, which would put this, I guess, 5 thou out of alignment that way. I'll try it. Again, if you know more than I do, by all means chime in as to how to check calibration on this, but that was where it was factory set. I've adjusted this end to line this up. I'm not sure how you would check parallel this way with a dial indicator or something like that, and then as well shim this up so that it meets this. So I'm in perfect alignment and I'm going to be happy with that.